Ever had that moment where you're standing awkwardly at a party, silently praying someone comes to rescue you from the terrifying abyss of small talk? Yeah, same. You're holding your drink like it's a shield, scanning the room for the nearest exit, and internally rehearsing your fake phone call escape plan. And then someone walks up and hits you with the dreaded, "So, what do you do?" Instantly, your brain short circuits like you just got asked to recite the entire periodic table backward. Look, I get it. Small talk can feel fake, pointless, and even a little soul-sucking, especially if you're an introvert. It's like, why talk about the weather when we could just skip ahead to discussing our childhood traumas or the meaning of life, right? But here's the truth. Mastering small talk is kind of a cheat code for life. It opens doors, builds relationships, and makes you less of that mysterious, quiet person in the corner, and more of, wow, I didn't expect them to be so easy to talk to type. The good news? You can get good at it without changing your personality, faking extroversion, or memorizing a bunch of canned questions. So let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at this networking event. I only went because my friend dragged me there with the promise of free food and wine, which, let's be honest, is the only real reason to attend those things. Anyway, I'm clinging to the snack table, nibbling on mini samosas, when this guy walks up and says, "Man, these things are addictive, huh?" That's it. No fancy icebreaker, no awkward pitch, just one sentence. And boom, we were talking for the next 30 minutes about food, terrible first dates, and somehow Game of Thrones. That moment flipped a switch in my brain. Small talk doesn't have to be scary or scripted. It just has to start. And that's the first big mindset shift. Small talk isn't about impressing people. It's about connecting. Once you drop the pressure to be interesting and focus instead on being interested, everything gets easier. Think about it. People love to talk about themselves. So if you can ask the right questions and listen like you actually care, which I know you do, you're already halfway there. All right, let's get practical. If you're wondering, okay, but what do I say? Don't worry, I've got you. Start with what I like to call the environment echo. This means using your shared surroundings to spark a comment or question. At a wedding, how do you know the couple? In a waiting room, is this place always this quiet? On a train, ever get nervous the train's gonna skip your stop? You're simply observing something and tossing it out there. Low risk, high reward. You're not trying to be clever, you're just opening a door. Next trick, FRD. Not the car. This one stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. These 4 topics are gold mines for conversation. You don't need to hit all of them in one go, but they're great guides if you're stuck. For example, what kind of stuff do you do when you're not working can lead to hobbies, side hustles, or travel stories. Or, have you always lived here? Might bring up family and hometown connections. The key is to be curious, not nosy, just genuinely curious. But what if the person gives you short, dead-end answers? You know the type. Hey, how's your day going? Them? Fine. Awkward silence. This is where the +1 method saves the day. Whatever they say, you simply add one follow-up question to keep it going. So if they say, fine, you can say, nice. Anything interesting happened today? Or if they say, I'm in tech, you ask, oh cool, like software or hardware? You're gently nudging the conversation forward without forcing it. And if you're really feeling stuck, try self-disclosure. That means sharing a little something about yourself to lower the walls. Not a deep secret, just something small and real. Like, I always forget people's names 5 seconds after they tell me. It's a terrible habit. This invites the other person to relax and maybe admit they do the same. Vulnerability, yes, even tiny bits, builds trust fast. Now here's something you might not expect. Silence is not your enemy. Sometimes people panic when there's even a 1-second pause, but those gaps are normal. Think of it like jazz. The pauses give rhythm to the flow. Just smile, breathe, and if the silence stretches too long, change the subject. You're not on stage, and this isn't an interview. It's okay to say, so anyway, have you seen that new show everyone's talking about? Or random question, but do you like pineapple on pizza? By the way, the correct answer is yes, don't fight me. Also, don't underestimate the power of body language. As an introvert, you might naturally pull back, cross your arms, or avoid eye contact. Not because you're rude, but because you're conserving energy. Totally fair. But if you want to seem more approachable, little things go a long way. Angle your body slightly toward the person, keep your arms relaxed, and smile now and then. Not a creepy grin, just a calm, I'm happy to be here smile. Trust me, your vibe does more than your words sometimes. And let's talk energy. As an introvert, you've got a limited social battery. That's not a weakness. That's your superpower. Because while extroverts might throw words around like confetti, you're actually listening, observing, and choosing your words with care. That means your small talk can have more depth and authenticity. So instead of trying to keep up with the loudest voice in the room, lean into your strength. Meaningful presence. But yeah, you still need to practice. There's no hack that replaces that. Start small. Chat with your barista, your Uber driver, or the person sitting next to you at a workshop. These low-stakes conversations are like reps at the gym. You're building confidence, you're learning how to read people, you're figuring out what works for you. And over time, the awkwardness fades. It really does. Now, just to be clear, mastering small talk doesn't mean you have to talk to everyone all the time. It just means that when you do need to engage, you know how to navigate it smoothly. You won't feel like a deer in headlights or rely on fake enthusiasm. You'll just be you. Calm, curious, confident. So the next time you find yourself dreading that social interaction, remember this. You don't have to be the life of the party. You just have to show up as a warm, engaged version of yourself. Ask questions, listen well, share a little, and give yourself permission to be imperfect. Nobody's grading your conversation. Most people are just grateful you're making the effort. Small talk isn't about being impressive, it's about being human. And you're already good at that. You just needed a little reminder.